Today we have to deal with a problem down here with the power steering pump. We've got a leak out by where the spindle attaches to the pulley. And we're going to have to fix that by replacing the pump. That's next. So based on this configuration, it looks to me like the best approach would be to take the alternator out first before I go down and try to get the power steering pump out. That's going to free up quite a bit of room here, so if I got to struggle with any of the hoses or anything like that, I'll have extra room. So we're going to start with that first, get that alternator out of there, and then we can move on to the power steering pump itself. Just draining the liquid out right now. I'm using this vacuum pump to do it. I'm just taking the pulley off right now, the old power steering pump. You need a special tool to do this. There's a puller installer kit that I picked up at O'Reilly's. It's kind of neat setup that they have there. They will charge you about 40 bucks for this kit, and you use it, and then when you bring it back to them, they give you your 40 bucks back. Pretty nice deal. So I'm just slowly and carefully taking this pulley off right now. We don't want to damage it. By the way, the nut that was holding this thing on was a real bear to get off. I ended up having to put an impact wrench on it in order to get it off. But that worked like a breeze once I got that thing going on there. So we'll continue this. We'll get the pulley off, and then we'll go to the next step of installing it onto the new pump. Okay, so this is the old pump, and I wanted to go over a couple of things with you so that you understand that these aren't necessarily just put the new pump in and off you go to the races. I had to swap a couple of things on this pump, and I'm not just talking about the pulley here. There were a couple of things on the other side of the pump that had to be swapped out. Number one, there is an inlet here for the high pressure hose that doesn't come with the new pump. I had to swap that out. That's what used to be here. Secondly, there was a bolt configuration just like the one up here that's used for mounting this on the bracket so that it will slide properly. That was not included in the new pump, and I had to move that over. And then finally, the reservoir cap was not included, so I actually had to use my old one. These are just a couple of things that I thought maybe you need to know if you're going to be undertaking something like this. And it says right in the instructions that you may have to do this based on what your configuration on your car is. So it's not as though you're voiding the warranty or anything. MasterPro actually expects you to do this. Okay, so I've got the pump back in and the hoses are all connected up. Just as a recap, I want to go over what I had to do in order to get to everything that had to be removed. This alternator had to come out, obviously. I had to take all the plug wires out of the way so that I could get to these two hoses down here. The high pressure hose was the one that actually had to come off because that was being completely replaced. The low pressure hose, I was able to keep the original connection, and all I did was replace the hose part because that's what I was really concerned with. You know, over time they get brittle, and I wanted to make sure that that was replaced. Now, that high pressure hose, getting to that was very difficult. You can see as I point to it here that that's not an easy place to get a wrench. So what I did was I used this little tool. This is a offset wrench that you can use on a ratchet, like so. So what you do is you can take that wrench and get it down inside where you need to go to tighten and loosen those hoses. And I tell you what, even with that specialty tool, it's very difficult to do and it's time consuming. So you have to just use a lot of patience, take your time, and you'll be fine. Okay, so we're at the last part of this, and that's basically adding fluid and getting all of the air out of the lines that might have been introduced. So we're going to start by filling that reservoir, and we'll get it up to its capacity, and then what we're going to do is start the car and run it for about 30 seconds just so that the power steering fluid can work its way through the system. Then we're going to shut it off and check the level and add what else we need. Okay, so I'm doing a reading now. I'm just going to check to see how much, if any, fluid I've got on the dipstick here. Let's see. Nothing. Well, I knew it was going to go down. So now we're going to add enough of the fluid so that we get up to the full line. And from there we'll start the car again, let it run for maybe a minute, and we'll do this process again. Okay, let's take that off and see where we're at. Oh, I see the level is still quite a ways up there. So, turns out I may have to take some of this out, but we've got one last step to do, and that is I got to get this back up in the air, and it's got to be high enough so that the wheels are off the ground. And then what I do is I just gently turn the wheels from side to side and make sure that the fluid is running through all of the power steering system. So the very last thing that I got to do is just check the level, make sure that I've got the appropriate amount in there, and should be good. Yeah, I'm right at the full line. So yeah, that looks fine. Okay, so that wraps up this job. This was a difficult one to do, although the procedure was pretty straightforward. Getting there is half the fun. We'll see you on the next video.